ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friend, this is video number 12 on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna Parmahamsa. This video starts with a question by a devotee. A devotee: I find it is extremely difficult for a householder to realize God. How few people can lead the life you prescribe for them. I have not found any. Master, why should that be so? I have heard of a deputy magistrate named Pratap Singh. He is a great man. He has many virtues, compassion and devotion to God. He meditates on God. Once he said, "Sent for me." Certainly there are people like him. The practice of discipline is absolutely necessary. Why should not a man succeed if he practices sadhana? But he doesn't have to work hard if he has real faith in his Guru's words. Once Vyasa was about to cross the Jamuna when the gopis also arrived there, wishing to go to the other side, but no ferry boat was in sight. They said to Vyasa, "Revered sir, what shall we do now?" "Don't worry," said Vyasa. "I will take you across, but I am very hungry. Have you anything for me to eat?" The gopis had plenty of milk, cream and butter with them. Vyasa ate it all. Then the gopis asked, "Well, sir, what about crossing the river?" Vyasa stood on the bank of the Jamuna and said, "O Jamuna, if I have not eaten anything today, then may your waters part so that we may all walk to the other side." No sooner did the sage utter these words than the waters of the Jamuna parted. The gopis were speechless with wonder. "He ate so much just now," they said to themselves, "and he says, 'If I have not eaten anything.'" Vyasa had the firm conviction that it was not himself, but the Narayana who dwelt in his heart that had partaken of the food. Shankaracharya was a Brahmagyani to be sure, but at the beginning he too had the feeling of differentiation. He did not have absolute faith that everything in the world is Brahma. One day, as he was coming out of the Ganges after bath, he saw an untouchable, a butcher who, carrying a load of meat, inadvertently the butcher touched his body. Shankara shouted angrily, "Hey there, how dare you touch me?" "Revered said, Revered sir," said the butcher, "I have not touched you, nor have you touched me. The poor self cannot be the body, nor the five elements, nor the 24 cosmic principles." Then Shankara came to his senses. Once Gadadhara was carrying King Rahu Gana's playing queen and at the same time giving a discourse on self-knowledge. The king got down from the palanquin and said to Gadadhara, "Who are you, pray?" The latter answered, "I am not this, not this. I am the pure self." He had perfect faith that he was the pure self. I am He, I am the pure self. That is the conclusion of the Gyanis. But the Bhaktas say the whole universe is the glory of God. Who would recognize a wealthy man without his power and riches? But it is quite different when God Himself, gratified by the aspirant's devotion, says to him, "You are the same as myself." Suppose a king is seated in his court, and his cook enters the hall, sits on the throne, and says, "O king, you and I are the same." People will certainly call him a madman. But suppose one day the king, pleased with the cook's service, says to him, "Come sit beside me." There is nothing wrong in that. There is no difference between you and me. Then, if the cook sits on the throne with the king, there is no harm in it. It is not good for ordinary people to say, "I am he." The waves belong to the water. Does the water belong to the waves? Result of yoga through bhakti. The upshot of the whole thing is that no matter what path you follow, yoga is impossible unless the mind becomes quiet. The mind of a yogi is under his control. He is not under the control of his mind. When the mind is quiet, the prana stops functioning. Then one gets kumbhaka. One may have the same kumbhaka through bhakti yoga as well. The prana stops functioning through love of God too. In the kirtan, the musician sings Nitai Amar Mata Hati. Repeating this, he goes into a spiritual mood and cannot sing the whole sentence. He simply sings happy, happy. When the mood deepens, he sings only ha, ha. Thus his prana stops through ecstasy and kumbhaka follows. Suppose a man is sweeping a courtyard with his broom and another man comes and says to him, "Hello, so and so is no more. He is dead." Now, if the dead person was not related to the sweeper, the latter goes on with his work, remarking casually, "Ah, that's too bad. He is dead. He was a good fellow." The sweeping goes on all the same, but if the dead man was his relative, then the broom drops from his hand. "Ah!" he exclaims, and he too drops to the ground. His prana has stopped functioning. He can neither work nor think. Have not you noticed among women that if one of them looks at something or listens to something in speechless amazement, the other women say to her, "What? Are you in ecstasy?" In this instance too, the prana has stopped functioning, and so she remains speechless with mouth agape. It will not be, it will not do merely to repeat, "I am he, I am he." There are certain signs of a jnani. Narendra has big protruding eyes, pointing to a devotee. He also has good eyes and forehead. Different classes of men. All men are by no means all men are by no means on the same level. It is said that there are four classes of men: the bound, the struggling, the liberated, and the ever free. It is also notified that all men have to practice spiritual discipline. There are the ever free and those who achieve perfection through spiritual discipline. Some realize God after much spiritual austerity, and some are perfect from their very birth. Prahlada is an example of the ever free, eternally perfect sages like Prahlada also practice meditation and prayer, but they have realized the fruit, God vision, even before their spiritual practice. They are like gourds and pumpkins, which grow fruit, fruit first and then flowers. Looking at Rakhal's father, even though an eternally perfect soul is born in a low family, still he retains his innate perfection. He cannot do anything else. A tree germinating in a heap of cow dung still grows into a tree plant. God has given to some greater power than to others. In one man you see it has the light of a lamp, in another the light of a torch. One word of Vidyasagar's revealed to me the utmost limit of his intelligence. When I told him of the different manifestations of God's power in different beings, he said to me, Sir, has God then given greater power to some than to others? At once I said, Yes, certainly he has. If there are no different degrees of manifestation of his power, then why should your name be known far and wide? You see, we have come to you after hearing of your knowledge and compassion. You have not grown to horns, have you, with all his fame and erudition? Vidyasagar said such a childish thing as, has God given greater power to some than to others? The truth is that when the fisherman draws his net, he first catches big fish like trout and carp, then he stirs up the mud with his feet, and small fish comes out, minnows, mudfish, and so on. So also, unless a man knows God, minnows and the like gradually come out from within him. What can one achieve through mere scholarship? Sunday, June 17, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was resting in his room in the temple garden at Dakshineshwar. It was afternoon, Adhar, and Anne arrived and saluted the master. A tantric devotee also came in. Rakhal, Hajra, and Ramlal were staying with Sri Ramakrishna. Master, to the devotees, why should not one be able to attain spirituality living the life of a householder? But it is extremely difficult. Sages like Janka entered the world after attaining knowledge, but still the world is a place of terror. Even a detached householder has to be careful. Once Janka bent down his head at the sight of a Bhairavi. He shrank from seeing a woman. The Bhairavi said to him, Janka, I see you have not yet attained knowledge. You still differentiate between man and woman. If you move about in a room filled with soot, you will soil your body, however slightly, no matter how clever you may be. I have seen household devotees filled with spiritual emotion while performing their daily worship, wearing their silk clothes. They maintain that attitude even until they take their refreshments after the worship. But afterwards they become their old selves again. They display their rajasic and tamasic natures. Sattva begets bhakti. Even bhakti has three aspects, sattva, rajas and tamas. The sattva of bhakti is pure sattva. When a devotee acquires it, he does not direct his mind to anything but God. He pays only as much attention to his body as is absolutely necessary for its protection. But a Paramahamsa is beyond the three gunas. Though they exist in him, yet they are practically non-existent. Like a child, he is not under the control of any of the gunas. That is why Paramahamsas allow small children to come near them in order to attain their nature. Paramahamsas may not lay things up, but this rule does not apply to householders. They must provide for their families. Tantric devotee is a Paramahamsa aware of virtue and vice. Master Keshav also asked that question. I said to him, if I explain that to you, then you won't be able to keep your society together. In that case, we had better stop here, said Keshav. Do you know the significance of virtue and vice? A Paramahamsa says that it is God who gives us evil tendencies as well as good tendencies. Have not you noticed that there are both sweet and bitter fruits? Some trees give sweet fruits and some bitter or sour. God has made the mango tree which yields sweet fruit and also the hog plum which yields sour fruit. Tantric, yes sir, that is true. On the hint of one sees extending rose gardens reaching as far as the eye can see. Master, the Paramahamsa realizes that all these good and bad, virtue and vice, real and unreal, are only the glories of God's Maya. But these are very deep thoughts. One realizing this cannot keep an organization together or anything like that. Tantric, but the law of karma exists, doesn't it? Master, that also is true. Good produces good and bad produces bad. Don't you get the hot taste if you eat chilies? But these are all God's Leela, His way, His play. Tantric, then what is the way for us? We shall have to reap the result of our past karma, shall we not, Master? That may be so, but it is different with the devotees of God. Listen to a song. O mind, you do not know how to farm. Follow lies, follow lies the field of your life. If you had only worked it well, how rich a harvest you might reap. Has it about with Kali's name, if you would keep your harvest safe. This is the stoutest hedge of all, for death himself cannot come near it. Sooner or later will dawn the day when you must forfeit your precious field. Gather, O mind, what fruit you may sow for your seed the holy name of God that your Guru has given to you, faithfully watering it with love. And if you should find the task too hard, call upon Ram Prasad for help. He sang again, I have scarcely blocked the way by which the King of Death will come. Henceforward all my doubts and fears are set at naught forever. Shiva himself is standing guard at the 9 doorways of my house, which has 1 pillar for support and 3 ropes to secure it. The Lord has made his dwelling place the 1,000-petaled lotus flower within the head and comforts me with never ceasing care. The master continued, anyone who dies in Banaras, whether a Brahmin or a prostitute, will become Shiva. When a man sheds tears at the name of Hari, Kali or Rama, then he has no further need of the Sandha and other rites. All actions drop away of themselves. The fruit of action does not touch him. Again the master saying, as is a man's meditation, so is his feeling of love. As is a man's feeling of love, so is his gain. And faith is the root of all. If in the nectar lake of Mother Kali's feet my mind remains immersed, of little use or worship, oblations or sacrifice. He sang another song, why should I go to Ganga or Gaya, to Kasi, Kanchi or Prabhas, so long as I can breathe my last with Kali's name upon my lips? Then he said, when a man merges himself in God, he can no longer return wicked or sinful tendencies. Tantric, you have said rightly that he keeps only the knowledge ego. Master, yes, he keeps only the knowledge ego, the devotee ego, the servant ego and the good ego. His wicked ego disappears. Tantric, today you have destroyed many of our doubts. Master, all doubts disappear when one realizes the self. Assume the tamasic aspect of bhakti. Say with force, what I have uttered the names of Rama and Kali. How can I be in bondage any more? How can I be affected by the law of karma? The master saying, if only I can pass away repeating Durga's name, how canst thou then, O blessed one, withhold from me deliverance? Wretched though I may have stolen a drink of wine, or killed a child unborn, or slain a woman or a cow, or even caused a Brahmin's death. But though it all be true, nothing of this can make me feel the least uneasiness. For through the power of thy sweet name, my wretched soul may still aspire even to Brahmanhood. The master continued, faith, faith, faith. Once a guru said to his pupil, Rama alone has become everything. When a dog began to eat the pupil's bread, he said to it, O Rama, wait a little, I shall butter your bread. Such was his faith in the words of his guru. Worthless people do not have any faith. They always doubt. But doubts do not disappear completely till one realizes the self. In genuine love of God there is no desire. Only through such love does one speedily realize God, attainment of supernatural powers and so on. These are desires. Krishna once said to Arjuna, friend, you cannot realize God if you acquire even one of the 8 supernatural powers. They will only add a little to your power. Tantrics, sir, why don't the rituals of Tantra bear fruit nowadays? Master, it is because people cannot practice them with absolute correctness and devotion. In conclusion, the Master said, love of God is the one essential thing. A true lover of God has nothing to bear, nothing to worry about. He is aware that the Divine Mother knows everything. The cat handles the mouse one way, but its own kitten a very different way. The festival at chapter number 12, the festival at Panihati. Monday, June 18, 1883. Festival at Panihati. Sri Ramakrishna had been invited to the great religious festival at Panihati near Calcutta. This festival of the flattened rice was inaugurated by Raghunath Das, a disciple of Sri Chaitanya. It is said that Raghunath used to run away from home, secretly practice his devotions, and enjoy the bliss of spiritual ecstasy. One day Nityananda said to him, "Thief, you run away from home and enjoy the love of God all alone. You hide it from us. I shall punish you today. You must arrange a religious festival and entertain the devotees with the flattened rice." Since then the festival has been annually celebrated at Panihati by the Vaishnavas. Thousands of the followers of Sri Chaitanya participate in it. Its chief feature is the singing of the names and glories of God and the dancing of the devotees in religious fervor. The center of the festivity is the temple of Radha Krishna, built on the bank of the Ganges. The master had been invited to the festival by Mani Sen, who was the custodian of the temple. Ram and Rakhal, Bhavnath and a few other disciples went with the master in a carriage. On his way to Panihati, Sri Ramakrishna was in a light mood and joked with the youngsters. But as soon as the carriage reached the place of the festival, the master, to the utter amazement of the devotees, shouted into the crowd. He joined the Kirtan party of Navadip Goswami, Mani Sen's Guru, and danced, totally forgetting the world. Every now and then he stood still in samadhi, carefully spotted by Navadip Swami, for fear he might fall to the ground. Thousands of devotees were gathered together for the festival. Wherever one looked, there was a forest of human heads. The crowd seemed to become infected by the master's divine fervor and swayed to and fro, chanting the name of God until the very air seemed to reverberate with it. Drums, cymbals, and other instruments produced melodious sounds. The atmosphere became intense and spiritual fervor. The devotees felt that Gauranga himself was being manifested in the person of Sri Ramakrishna. Flowers were showered from all sides on his feet and head. The shouting of the name of Hari was heard even at a distance, like the rumbling of the ocean. Sri Ramakrishna entered by turn into all the moods of ecstasy. In deep samadhi he stood still, his face radiating a divine glow. In the state of partial consciousness he danced, sometimes gentle and sometimes with the vigor of a lion. Again regaining consciousness of the world, he sang himself, leading the chorus. Behold, the two brothers have come who weep while chanting Hari's name, the brothers who dance in ecstasy and make the world dance in his name. Behold them weeping themselves and making the whole world weep as well. The brothers who in return for blows offer to sinners Hari's love. Behold them drunk with Hari's love, who make the world drunk as well. Behold, the two brothers have come who once were Kanai and Balai of Brija. They who would steal the butter out of the pots of the gopi maids. Behold, the true have come, who shatter all the rules of caste, embracing everyone as brother, even the outcast shunned by men, who move themselves in Hari's name, making the whole world mad, who are none other than Hari himself, and chant his hallowed name. Behold them who saved from their sinful ways the ruffians Jagai and Madhai, they who cannot distinguish between a friend and an enemy. Behold the two brothers, God and Nitai, who came again to save mankind. Again the Master saying, see how all Nadia is shaking under the waves of Gauranga's love. The crowd with the Master in the center surged toward the temple of Radha Krishna. Only a small number could enter. The rest stood outside the portal and jostled with one another to have a look at Sri Ramakrishna. In a mood of intoxication, he began to dance in the courtyard of the shrine. Every now and then his body stood transfixed in deep samadhi. Hundreds of people around him shouted the name of God, and thousands outside caught the strain and raised the cry with full-throated voices. The echo travelled over the Ganges, striking a note in the hearts of people in the boats on the holy river, and they too chanted the name of God. When the kirtan was over, Mani Sen took Sri Ramakrishna and Navadip Goswami into a room and served them with refreshments. Afterwards, Ram and other devotees were also served with the prasad. In the afternoon, the master was sitting in Mani Sen's drawing room with the devotees. Navadip was also near him. Mani offered the carriage hire to Sri Ramakrishna. Pointing to Ram and the others, the master said, why should they accept it from you? They earn money. He became engaged in conversation with Navadip. Different states of bhakti. Master, bhakti matured become bhava. Next is Mahabhava, then Prema, and last of all is the attainment of God. Gauranga experienced the states of Mahabhava and Prema. When Prema is awakened, a devotee completely forgets the world. He also forgets his body, which is so dear to a man. Gauranga experienced Prema. He jumped into the ocean thinking it to be the Jamuna. The ordinary Jiva does not experience Mahabhava or Prema. He goes only as far as Bhava. But Gauranga experienced all three states. Is not that so? Navadip, yes sir, that is true. The inmost state, the semi-conscious state, and the conscious state. Master, in the inmost state he would remain in samadhi, unconscious of the outer world. In the semi-conscious state he could only dance. In the conscious state he chanted the name of God. Navadip introduced his son to the master. The young man was a student of the scriptures. He saluted Sri Ramakrishna. Navadip, Navadvip. He studies the scriptures at home. Previously, one hardly saw a copy of the Vedas in this country. Max Muller has translated them so people can now read these books. Essence of the scriptures. Master, too much study of the scriptures does more harm than good. The important thing is to know the essence of the scriptures. After that, what is the need of books? One should learn the essence and then dive deep in order to realize God. Ideal of the Gita. The Divine Mother has revealed to me the essence of the Vedanta. It is that Brahma alone is real and the world illusory. The essence of the Gita is what you get by repeating the word 10 times. The word becomes reversed. It is then tali, which refers to renunciation. The essence of the Gita is, O man, renounce everything and practice spiritual discipline for the realization of God. Navadvip. But how can we proceed our minds to renounce? Master, you are a Goswami. It is your duty to officiate as priest in the temple. You cannot renounce the world. Otherwise, who would look after the temple and its services? You have to renounce mentally. It is God Himself who has kept you in the world to set an example to man. You may resolve in your mind 1,000 times to renounce the world, but you will not succeed. God has given you such a nature that you must perform your worldly duties. Krishna said to Arjuna, what do you mean you will not fight? By your mere will you cannot desist from fighting. Your very nature will make you fight. At the mere mention of Krishna and Arjuna, the master went into samadhi. In the twinkling of an eye, his body became motionless and his eye was transfixed. While his breathing could scarcely be noticed, at this sudden transformation, Noadev and his son and the other devotees looked at the master in mute wonder. Regaining partial consciousness, he said to Navadevi, Yoga and Bhoga, you Goswamis have both. Now your only duty is to call on God and pray to Him sincerely. O God, I don't want the glories of thy world bewitching Maya. I want thee alone. God dwells in all beings undoubtedly. That being the case, who may be called his devotee? He who dwells in God, he who has merged his mind and life and innermost soul in God. The master returned to this plan. Referring to his samadhi, he said to Nawab, some say that this state of mind is a disease. I say to them, how can one become unconscious by thinking of him whose consciousness has made the whole world conscious? Mani Sen said goodbye to the invited Brahmins and Vaishnavas with suitable gifts of money. He offered 5 rupees to Sri Ramakrishna. The latter said that he could not possibly accept any money, but Mani insisted offering. Sri Ramakrishna asked him in a distressed voice whether he should take the money. The disciple made a vehement protest and said, no, sir, by no means. Friends of Mani soon gave the money to Rakhal, requesting him to buy some mangoes and sweets for the master. Sri Ramakrishna said to M, I have definitely said to Mani that I would not accept the money. I feel free now, but Rakhal has accepted it. His is now the responsibility. Sri Ramakrishna, accompanied by the devotees, took a carriage to return to Dakshineshwar. They were going to pass the temple garden of Mani sealed on the way. For a long time the master had been asking M to take him to the reservoir in the garden in order that he might teach him how to meditate on the formless God. There were 10 fish in the reservoir. Nobody harmed them. Visitors threw puffed rice and other bits of food into the water and the Big fish came in swarms to eat the food. Fearlessly the fish swam in the water and sported there joyously. Coming to the reservoir, the master said to M, "Look at the fish. Meditating on the formless God is like swimming joyfully like these fish in the ocean of bliss and consciousness." Monday, June 25, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was at Balram Bose's house in Calcutta. Rakhal and M were seated near him. The master was in ecstasy. He conversed with the devotees in an abstracted mood. "Master, let me assure you that a man can realize his inner self through sincere prayer, but to the extent that he has the desire to enjoy worldly objects, his vision of the self becomes obstructed." And yes, sir, you always ask us to plunge into God. Master joyously, yes, that's it. Let me tell you that the realization of self is possible for all without any exception. And that is true, sir. But God is the doer. He works through different beings in different ways, according to their capacity to manifest the divine. God gives to some full spiritual consciousness and others he keeps in ignorance. Master, no, that is not so. One should pray to God with a longing heart. God certainly listens to prayer if it is sincere. There is no doubt about it. A devotee, yes, sir, there is this I consciousness in us. Therefore we must pray. Nitya and Leela. Master to M. A man should reach the Nitya, the Absolute, by following the trail of the Leela. The relative, it is like reaching the roof by the stairs. After realizing the Absolute, he should climb down to the relative and live on that plane in the company of devotees, charging his mind with the love of God. This is my final and most mature opinion. God has different forms and he sports in different ways. He sports as Ishvara, Deva, man and the universe. In every age he descends to earth in human form as an incarnation to teach people love and devotion. There is the instance of Chaitanya. One can taste devotion and love of God only through his incarnations. Infinite are the ways of God's play, but what I need is love and devotion. I want only the milk. The milk comes through the udder of the cow. The incarnation is the udder. Was Sri Ramakrishna hinting that he was an incarnation of God? Did he suggest that those who saw him saw God? Did he thus speak about himself when speaking of Chaitanya? It was a hot day in June 1883. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting on the steps of the Shiva temples in the temple garden and arrived with ice and other offerings and sat down on the steps after saluting the master. Master to M. The husband of Mani Malik's granddaughter was here. He he read in a book that God could not be said to be quite wise and omniscient. Otherwise, why should there be so much misery in the world? As regards death, it would be much better to kill a man all at once instead of putting him through slow torture. Further, the author writes that if he himself were the creator, he would have created a better world, and listened to these words in surprise and made no comment. The way of God are inscrutable. And Master to M. Can a man ever understand God's ways? I too think of God sometimes uh, as good and sometimes as bad. He has kept us deluded by his great illusion. Sometimes he makes us up and sometimes he keeps us unconscious. One moment the ignorance disappears and the next moment it covers our mind. If you throw a brick bat into a pond covered with moss, you get a glimpse of the water, but a few moments later the moss comes dancing back and covers the water. Body consciousness produces duality. One is aware of pleasure and pain, birth and death, disease and grief as long as one is identified with the body. All these belong to the body alone and not to the soul. After the death of the body, perhaps God carries one to a better place. It is like the birth of the child after the pain of delivery. Attaining self-knowledge, one looks on pleasure and pain, birth and death as a dream. Now little we know. Can a 1 seer pot hold 10 seers of milk? If ever a salt dole ventures into the ocean to measure its depth, it cannot come back and give us the information. It melts into the water and disappears. At dusk, the evening service began in the different temples. The master was sitting on the small couch on his room, absorbed in contemplation of the Divine Mother. Several devotees also were there. M was going to spend the night with the master. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna began to talk to a devotee privately on the veranda north of his room. He said, "It is good to meditate in the small hours of the morning and sat down and at dawn. One should also meditate daily after dusk." He instructed the devotee about meditation on the personal God and on the impersonal reality. After a time he sat on the semicircular porch west of his room. It was about 9 o'clock. "Master, those who come here will certainly have all their doubts removed. What do you say?" "And that is true, sir." A boat was moving in the Ganges far away from the bank. The boatman began to sing. The sound of his voice floating over the river reached the master's ears and he went into a spiritual mood. The hair on his body stood on end. He said to M, "Just feel my body." M was greatly amazed. He thought the Upanishads describe Brahma as permeating the universe and the ether. Has that Brahma as sound touched the master's body? After a time, Sri Ramakrishna began to converse again. "Master, those who come here must have been born with good tendencies. Is not that true?" "And it is true, sir." "Master, Adhar must have good tendencies." "And that goes without saying." "Master, a guileless man easily realizes God. There are two paths, the path of righteousness and the path of wickedness. One should follow the path of righteousness." "And that is true, sir." If a thread has a single fiber sticking out, it cannot pass through the eye of a needle. "Master, if a man finds a hair in the food he is chewing, he spits out the entire morsel." But you say that the man who has realized God cannot be injured by evil company. A blazing fire burns up even a plantain tree. Saturday, July 14, 1883. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house in Calcutta. Rakhal and other devotees were with the master. Adhar had arranged to have Rajnarayan, the famous singer, and his party recite the Chandi. Rajnarayan began the recital in the worship hall. He sang, I have surrendered my soul at the fearless feet of the mother. Am I afraid of death anymore? As the master listened, he became filled with divine fervor and joined the musicians. Now and then he improvised an appreciate line. Suddenly he went into samadhi and stood still. The singer sang again. Who is the woman yonder who lights the field of battle? Darker her body gleams even than the darkest storm cloud, and from her teeth there flash the lightning's blinding flames. Dishev- Dishevelled her hair is flying behind as she rushes about. Undaunted in this war between the gods and the demons, laughing her terrible laugh, she slays the fleeing asuras, and with her dazzling flashes she wears the horror of war. How beautiful on her brow the drops of moisture appear about her dense black hair. The bees are buzzing in swarms. The moon has veiled its face, beholding this sea of beauty. Tell me who can see thee, this sorceress, wonder of wonders. Shiva himself like a corpse lies vanquished at her feet. Kamalkanta has guessed who she is with the elephant's gait. She is none other than Kali, mother of all the world. Sri Ramakrishna was in deep samadhi. Saturday, July 21, 1883. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when Sri Ramakrishna with Ramlal and one or two other devotees started from Dakshineshwar for Calcutta in a carriage. As the carriage passed the gate of the Kali temple, they met and coming on foot with 4 mangoes in his hand. The carriage stopped and M saluted the master. Sri Ramakrishna was going to visit some of his devotees in Calcutta. Master to M, with a smile, come with us, we are going to Adhar's house. And got joyfully into the carriage. Having received an English education, he did not believe in the tendencies inherited from previous births, but he had admitted a few days before that it was on account of Adhar's good tendencies from past births that he showed such great devotion to the master. Later on he had thought about this subject and had discovered that he was not yet completely convinced about inherited tendencies. He had come to the Dakshineshwar that day to discuss the matter with Sri Ramakrishna. Master, well, what do you think of Adhar? And he has great yearning for God. Master, Adhar too speaks very highly of you, and remained silent a while and then began to speak of past tendencies. And I have not much faith in rebirth and inherited tendencies. Will that in any way injure my devotion to God? Everything is possible for God, Master. It is enough to believe that all is possible in God's creation. Never allow the thoughts to cross your mind that your ideas are the only true ones and that those of others are false. Then God will explain everything. What can a man understand of God's activities? The facets of God's creation are infinite. I do not try to understand God's actions at all. I have heard that everything is possible in God's creation, and I always bear that in mind. Therefore, I do not give a thought to the world, but meditate on God alone. Once Hanuman was asked, "What day of the lunar month is it?" Hanuman said, "I do not know anything about the day of the month, the position of the moon and stars, or any such thing. I think of Rama alone." Can one ever understand the work of God? He is so near, still it is not possible for us to know him. Brahma did not realize that Krishna was God. And that is true, sir. Maya is the cause of ignorance, master. God has covered all with his Maya. He doesn't let us know anything. Maya is woman and gold. He who puts Maya aside to see God can see him. Once when I was explaining God's action to someone, God suddenly showed me the lake at Kamarpukur. I saw a man removing the green scum and drinking the water. The water was clear as crystal. God revealed to me that Satyachit Ananda is covered by the scum of Maya. He who puts the green scum aside can drink the water. Let me tell you a very secret experience. Once I had entered the wood near the pine grove and was sitting there when I had a vision of something like the hidden door of a chamber. I could not see the inside of the chamber. I tried to bore a hole in the door with a knife, but did not succeed. As I bored, the earth fell black into the hole and filled it. Then suddenly I made a very big opening. Uttering these words, the master remained silent. After a time he said, "These are very profound words. I feel as if someone were pressing my mouth. I have seen with my own eyes that God dwells even in the sexual organ. I saw him once in the sexual intercourse of a dog and a bitch. The universe is conscious on account of the consciousness of God. Sometimes I find that this consciousness wriggles about as it were even in small fish. The carriage came to the crossing at Shiva Bazaar in Calcutta. The master continued saying, "Sometimes I find that the universe is saturated with the consciousness of God as the earth is soaked with water in the rainy season. Well, I see so many visions, but I never feel vain about them." And with a smile, "That you should speak of vanity, sir." Master, upon my word, I don't feel vanity even in the slightest degree. And there once lived a man in Greece, Socrates by name. A voice from heaven said that he was wise among men. Socrates was amazed at this revelation. He meditated on it a long time in solitude and then realized its significance. He said to his friends, "I alone of all people have understood that I do not know anything, but every man believes he is wise. In reality, all are ignorant, master. Now and then I think, what is it I know that makes so many people come to me?" Vaishnavacharan was a great Pandit. He used to say to me, "I can find in the scriptures all the things you talk about. But do you know why I come to you? I come to hear them from your mouth. And all your words tally with the scriptures." Navadip Goswami also said that the other day at the festival at Panihati, you told us that day that by repeating the word Gita a number of times one reverses it and it becomes Tagi, which refers to renunciation. Renunciation is the essence of the Gita. Navadeep Goswami spotted your statement from the grammatical standpoint. Master, have you found anyone else resembling me, any Pandit or holy man? And God has created you with his own hands, whereas he has made others by machine. All others he has created according to law. Master, laughing to Ramlal and the other devotees, listen to what he is saying. Sri Ramakrishna laughed for some time and said at last, really and truly I have no pride, no, not even the slightest bit. And knowledge does us good in one respect at least. It makes us feel that we do not know anything, that we are nothing. Master, right you are. I am nothing. I am nobody. Do you believe in English astronomy? And it is possible to make new discoveries by applying the laws of Western astronomy. Observing the irregular movement of Uranus, the astronomers looked through their telescopes and discovered Neptune shining in the sky. They can also foretell eclipses. Master, yes, that is so. Master J visits to various devotees. The carriage drove on. They were approaching Adhar's house. Sri Ramakrishna said to M. Dwell in the truth and you will certainly realize God. And you said the other day to Navadev Goswami, O God, I want thee. Please do not delude me with thy world bewitching Maya. I want to realize thee. Master, yes, one should be able to say that from one's innermost soul. Sri Ramakrishna arrived at Adhar's house and took a seat in the parlor. Ramdal, Adhar, and other devotees sat near him. Rakhal was staying with his father in Calcutta. Master to Adhar, did not you let Rakhal know that I was coming? Adhar, yes sir, I have sent him word. Finding that the master was eager to see Rakhal, Adhar at once sent his carriage to fetch him. Adhar had been yearning to see the master that day, but he had not definitely known that Sri Ramakrishna was coming. Adhar, you have not been here for a long time. I prayed to God today that you might come. I even shed tears. The master was pleased and said with a smile, you don't mean that. It was dusk and the lamps were lighted. Sri Ramakrishna saluted the Divine Mother with folded hands and sat quietly absorbed in meditation. Then he began to chant the names of God in his sweet voice. Govinda, Govinda, Satchitananda, Hari, Hari. Every word he uttered showered nectar on the ears of the devotee. Ramlal sang in a praise of Kali, the Divine Mother. Thy name I have heard, O consort of Shiva, is the destroyer of our fear. And so on thee I cast my burden. Save me, O kindly Mother. Out of thy womb the world is born, and thou it is that dost pervade it. Art thou Kali, art thou Radha, who can ever rightly say, Mother, in every living creature thou dost have thy dwelling place. As Kundalini, thou dost live in the lotus of the Mooladhara. Above it lies the Swadhisthana, where the four-petaled lotus blooms. There also thou dost make thy home, O mystic power of Kundalini. in the four petals of that flower and in Vajrasana's six petals. At the navel is Manipura, the blue ten-petaled lotus flower. Through the pathway of Susmana, thou dost ascend and enter there, O Lady of the lotuses in lotus blossoms. Thou dost dwell, beyond them lies the lake of nectar, in the region of the heart, where the 12-petaled lotus flower enchants the eye with scarlet flame. When thou dost open it, O Mother, touching it with the lotus feet, the age-long darkness of the heart instantly scattered at thy sight. Above in the throat is the 16-petaled lotus flower of the smoky hue. Within the petals of this flower there lies concealed a subtle space, transcending which one sees at length the universe in space dissolve, and higher yet between the eyebrows blossoms the lotus of two petals, where the mind of man remains a prisoner and past controlling. From this flower the mind desires to watch the sportive play of life. Highest of all, within the head the soul enthralling center is, where shines the thousand-petaled lotus, Mahadeva's dwelling place. Having ascended to his throne, O spouse of Shiva, sit beside him. Thou art primal power, O mother, see whose senses are controlled. The yogis meditate on thee as Uma, great Himalaya's daughter. Thou art the power of Shiva, put to death my ceaseless cravings. Grant that I never fall again into the ocean of this world. Mother, thou art the primal power, thou the five cosmic principles. How can ever hope to know thee, who are beyond all principles? Only for thy bhaktas' sake dost thou assume the various forms, but when thy devotees five senses merge in the five elements, Mother, it is thyself alone that he beholds as formless truth. As Ram Lord sang the lines, above in the throat is the 16-petaled lotus flower of smoky hue. Within the petals of this flower there lies concealed a subtle space, transcending which one sees at length the universe in space dissolved. The Master said to M, listen, this is known as the vision of Chitta Chitta Ananda, the formless Brahma. The Kundalini rising above the Visuddha Chakra enables one to see everything as Akasha. M. Yes, sir. Master, one attains the absolute by going beyond the universe and its created being conjured up by Maya. By passing beyond the Nada, one goes into Samadhi. By repeating Om, one goes beyond the Nada and attains Samadhi. Adhar served Sri Ramakrishna with fruits and sweets. The master left for Jadoo Malik's house. Sri Ramakrishna entered the room in Jadoo's house where the Divine Mother was worshipped. He stood before the image which had been decorated with flowers, garlands, and sandal paste, and which radiated a heavenly beauty and splendor. Lights were burning before the pedestal. A priest was seated before the image. The master asked one of his companions to offer a rupee in the shrine according to the Hindu custom. Sri Ramakrishna stood a long time with folded hands before the blissful image, the devotees standing behind him. Gracefully he went into samadhi, his body becoming motionless and his eyes fixed. With a long sigh he came back to the world of the senses and sat still, intoxicated with divine fervor. Mother, goodbye, but he could not leave the place. He remained standing there, addressing Ramlal. He said, "Please sing that song, then I shall be all right." Ramlal sang, "O mother, consort of Shiva, thou hast deluded this world." The master went to the drawing room with the devotees. Every now and then he said, "O mother, please dwell in my heart." Jadhu was sitting in the drawing room with his friends. The master sat down still in a ecstatic mood and sang, "O mother, ever blissful as thou art, do not deprive thy worthless child of bliss." Finishing the song, he said to Jadhu, still in a state of divine fervor, "Well, sir, what shall I sing? Shall I sing, Mother, am I thine 8 months child?" He sang, "Mother, am I thine 8 months child? Thy red eyes cannot frighten me. My riches are thy lotus feet, which Shiva holds upon his breast. Yet when I seek my heritage, I met with excuses and delays. A deed of gifts and a deed of gift I hold in my heart, attested by thy husband Shiva. I shall show thee if I must, and with a single point shall win. If thou dost oppose me, thou wilt learn what sort of mother's son am." This bitterly contested suit between the mother and her son. "What sport it is," says Ram Prasad. "I shall not cease tormenting thee till thou thyself shalt wield the fight and take me in thine arms at last." Coming down nearly to a normal state, the master said, "I shall take some of the divine mother's prasad." Then he ate a little of it. Jadoo Malik was sitting near him with several friends, among whom were a few of his flatterers. Master with a smile, "Well, why do you keep these buffoons with you?" Jadoo with a smile, "Suppose they are. Won't you redeem them?" Master smiling, "The water of the Ganges cannot purify a wine jar." Jadoo had promised the master that he would arrange a recital of the Chandi in his house. Some time had elapsed, but he had not yet kept his promise. Master, "Well, what about the recital of the Chandi?" Jadoo, "I have been busy with many things. I have not been able to arrange it." Master, "How is that? A man gives his word and does not take it back." The words of a man are like the tusks of the elephant. They come out but do not go back. A man must be true to his word. What do you say? Jadoo, Jadoo with a smile, "You are right, master. You are a shrewd man. You do a thing after much calculation. You are like the Brahmin who selects a cow that eats very little, supplies plenty of dung, and gives much milk or love." After a time he said to Jadoo, "I now understand your nature. It is half warm and half cold. You are devoted to God and also to the world." The master and his devotees were served by Jadoo with sweets and fruit, and then the party left for the home of Kailath Ghosh. Kailath Ghosh's house was a big mansion, but it looked deserted. As the master entered the house, he fell into an ecstatic mood. And Ramlal and a few other devotees were with him. Their host was Kailath Ghosh's brother-in-law. He was an old man, a Vaishnava. His body was stained with the name of God according to the Vaishnava custom, and he carried in his hand a small bag containing his rosary. He had visited the master now and then at Dakshineshwar, but most of the Vaishnavas held narrow religious views. They criticized the Vedantists and the followers of the Shiva cult. Sri Ramakrishna soon began to speak. Dogmatism condemned. Master, it is not good to feel that one's own religion alone is true and all others are false. God is only one and not two. Different people call on him by different names, some as Allah, some as God, and others as Krishna, Shiva, and Brahma. It is like the water in a lake. Some drink at one place and call it jal, others at another place and call it pani, and still others at a third place and call it water. The Hindus call it as jal, the Christian water, and the Muslims pani. But what is one and the but it is one and the same thing. Opinions are but paths. Each religion is only a path leading to God. As rivers come from different directions and ultimately become one in the one ocean. O oneness of God, the truth established in the Vedas, the Puranas, and the Tantras is but one Satya Chitta Ananda. In the Vedas it is called Brahma, in the Puranas it is called Krishna, Rama, and so on, and in the Tantra it is called Shiva. The one Satya Chitta Ananda is called Brahma, Krishna, and Shiva. The devotees were silent. A Vaishnava devotee, sir, why should one think of God at all? Master, if a man really has that knowledge, then he is indeed liberated, though living in a body. Shallow faith of the worldly minded. Not all by any means believe in God. They simply talk. The worldly minded have heard from someone that God exists and that everything happens by His will, but it is not their inner belief. Do you know what a worldly man's idea of God is like? It is like the children swearing by God when they quarrel. They have heard the word while listening to their elderly aunts quarreling. Is it possible for all to comprehend God? God has created the good and the bad, the devotees and the impious, the devoted and the impious, the faithful and the skeptical. The wonders that we see all exist in His creation. In one place there is more manifestation of His power, in another less. The sun's light is better reflected by water than by earth, and still better by a mirror. Again, there are different levels among the devotees of God, superior, mediocre, and inferior. All this has been described in the Gita. Vaishnava, true sir, various classes of devotees. At this point, I conclude this video. Thank you for watching this video. Next video number 13 will start with the various classes of devotees. Thank you. Namaskar.